Hi, I'm Michelle Medlin. I'm one of the nurses at Carolina Conceptions. I'm also the donor oocyte coordinator here. So what is egg donation? Egg donation is when a woman wants to have a pregnancy but is unable to achieve that on her own. Perhaps she cannot produce her own eggs due to diminished ovarian reserve, which could be a result of advanced maternal age, or premature ovarian failure. We take the oocytes from a healthy donor, inseminate those or fertilize them, and then transfer that embryo back into the uterus of the woman who wishes to carry the pregnancy. Who is a good candidate for egg donation? Well, first thing you would do is meet with one of our physicians to review your medical history. We certainly want to make sure that you are in good health before we consider getting you pregnant in the first place. We would evaluate your uterus doing a saline ultrasound. If you are over 45, we would want to ensure good cardiac function by a recent EKG. Want to rule out any risk of breast cancer by having a recent mammogram as well. So you're interested in using donor oocytes. We have a couple of ways that you can do that. Some people will find their own donor. We call that a known donor situation, where you have a friend or a family member who's willing to donate their oocytes for your use. We would screen those donors the same way we would one of our anonymous donors to make sure that it's safe for them as well as that the medical history is okay. In an anonymous situation, when you put in an application with our program, you're granted access to our online donor profiles. That's to protect both our donors and our recipient population by having it password protected. You have the availability to go through their profiles, see some pictures of them, as well as review their medical history and find someone that you believe to be a good match for what you need in a donor. So who are our donors? Our donors are young women between the ages of 19 and 31 who are in good health, have a good genetic background, don't have any strong family history of any genetic disorders or psychiatric disorders. They are tested both infectious screen-wise as well as by a psychiatrist and a physical here by one of our physicians. So you've selected a donor, what now? First thing we do is have both of you start on birth control. That allows us to sync your cycles and get her eggs ready at the same time that your uterus is ready to accept those embryos. So I usually have both of you start on birth control, and then I put together a tentative plan for your review that outlines the dates that you're going to be taking certain medications, as well as when the donor would start her stimulation, when we would have a potential retrieval date and a potential transfer date. So how long does all of this take? Well, from the recipient's perspective, from start to transfer of an embryo back to your uterus is roughly about 6 weeks. For the donor, she actually stimulates only for 8 to 10 days, and so her part is actually less than 2 weeks time frame. While your uterus is being prepared through the use of estrogen, she will be starting medications that will stimulate her ovaries to develop multiple follicles in hopes of retrieving multiple eggs to give us many opportunities to create those embryos for transfer back into the recipient's uterus. Obviously, your partner has a role in this. We will need his sperm, his genetic component of this. The day the donor is retrieved, he will provide a sample. Those sperm will then be used to inseminate the oocytes to create the embryos. Embryos will be transferred back into the recipient's uterus 4 or 6 days after the retrieval, depending on several things: the number of embryos created and the quality of those embryos as they are developing in culture. How many embryos do we transfer back into the recipient's uterus? No more than 2. We are certainly willing to do what we call an elective single embryo transfer if the recipient is concerned about having multiples. Currently, we do have about a 50% rate of twinning with our couples who do achieve a pregnancy using donor oocytes. Currently, we have a 76% pregnancy rate. So 76% of those women who have embryos transferred back will result in a positive pregnancy test. The most recent statistics for live birth rates for donor eggs was from 2009, and it stands at about 59%. If you're interested in using donor oocytes or becoming an egg donor with Carolina Conceptions, feel free to visit our website at www.carolinaconceptions.com. There's a tab there called Egg Donation, and it will do both sides of that. It'll give you information on becoming a donor or using donor oocytes through our program. You can also contact me directly. I'm at 919-782-5911. Direct extension is 108. Or you can always shoot me an email. It's Michelle, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, .medlin, M-E-D-L-I-N, @carolinaconceptions.com.